Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Kari Lewis and I am a physical educator and an ADHD coach. And I want to talk to you today about perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause and the benefits of exercise and maybe a diet change in helping you deal with symptoms of menopause and perimenopause. So first of all, I want to tell you a little about my own story. So about 8 months ago, I woke up one morning and I had seemingly gained fat around my belly and fat around my thighs. And I'd been working out and eating pretty much the same way I'd been eating for a number of years. But all of a sudden there was this fat gain that had accumulated with no reason, seemingly. So I decided that I needed to do a little bit of research online and see if I couldn't figure out what was going on. But before that, I decided that what I needed to do was decrease the number of calories I was eating and then maybe even skip meals. And that was completely contrary to what I knew to be true and helpful as far as being able to manage my percent body fat. I know that skipping meals and decreasing calories is a good way to lose weight, but it didn't necessarily have anything to do with the amount of fat that I might lose. So I decided that, again, doing a little bit of research online, and I came across a book by a doctor named Mickey Harpaz, who has a PhD, and his book is called Menopause Reset. And in that book, there's just a ton of information about the importance of being able to control your diet, limiting the amount of sugar that you're consuming, and being able to keep your blood sugar stable in order to decrease body fat and also decrease the amount of belly fat that we gain as we go through menopause. And another thing I learned was that consistency with exercise as well as consistency with the diet is going to be really important in being able to manage possible weight gain around the menopause time. All right, and so in my research, I found there's a number of websites that you can find and a lot of really good information about menopause and symptoms associated with menopause and exercise and diet. But I didn't really feel like there was one that really tied things together and gave a lot of really good, helpful information and practical information. So first of all, I wanted to talk about some of the physical and psychological changes associated with menopause. And the first one is gaining fat around the belly. And we know that that happens because as estrogen decreases, our bodies are attempting to find estrogens from somewhere. And one of the ways that our bodies do that is by gaining belly fat and trying to get that estrogen. And so when estrogen decreases, the amount of testosterone we have doesn't increase, but the ratio of estrogen to testosterone changes. And we tend to start developing more masculine kind of traits, and one of those is to gain belly fat. And then the second thing is what's called sarcopenia, which means the loss of lean tissue as we age. So a lot of us just through the aging process will lose lean tissue, but it can be that as we get older we also tend to decrease the amount of activity that we're doing, and that doesn't necessarily have to happen. So I'm going to talk later about how to offset sarcopenia as you get older. The third one then is insulin resistance. And we know that, again, as our bodies change and we lose estrogen in our body, the ability of our bodies to regulate blood sugar can change dramatically. And we may develop different eating habits, maybe consuming more carbohydrates, more sugar, and things like that. And the more stress we put on our pancreas to secrete insulin, over time, our pancreas may resist that, and so we become what's called insulin resistant, which can lead to an increase in body fat. The next one is osteoporosis or bone thinning. And again, as we lose estrogen, one of the downsides of that is that our bones start to become thinner. And again, with exercise, proper weightlifting, which I'll talk about later, that's one of the ways that you can keep your bone density up and even increase the amount of bone density that you have as you get older. Next is headaches, and that's a frequent problem that a lot of women have, perimenopausal, menopause, and postmenopause. And it can be, really frequent headaches. It could be an increase in migraines and so forth. And we know that exercise can help with that in some cases. And then hot flashes, which is something that many women experience as they go through menopause. Hot flashes can last just for a couple years, or they could be things that may persist for a long period of time, even in postmenopause. There's a lot of association with menopause, perimenopause, and trouble sleeping. So insomnia is a big problem for a lot of women. And again, I'll talk more later about how exercise and diet can help with that. The next ones are psychological problems that are associated with menopause and perimenopause. So the first one is depression, and then anxiety, and then memory problems. And those three things are often very interrelated, so that somebody that's suffering from depression may also have some problems with anxiety. If somebody is having some cognitive problems or memory problems, that can lead to anxiety. So there's kind of a vicious cycle there, and all three of those are related to a loss of estrogen. So all of those changes that are associated with menopause, the psychological and physical changes, many of them can be improved with exercise and diet. So I'm going to go through each one of these individually that I just talked about and talk about how exercise and or diet can help to improve or make the situation a little bit better. So the first one is the fat gain around the belly. And we know that as you exercise more and you exercise consistently, that you become a better fat burner. So just doing, exercise once or twice a week is not going to be enough. But as menopause approaches and in postmenopause, you want to make sure that you're exercising on a regular basis, which for most people means 5 or 6 times a week. And making sure that the exercise that you're doing is sufficient enough at a high enough intensity, which I'll talk more about later, in order to help decrease body fat and make you a better fat burner. And then where food is associated with this, about the gain of fat around the belly, is that you want to eat more frequent meals, smaller meals, maybe decrease your calories a little bit, but nothing drastic. And those small, frequent meals during the day can help to stabilize blood sugar. On the other hand, if you're just eating every now and then, if you've gone, let's say, 4 or 5 hours without eating anything, your blood sugar is going to dip, and then the next time that you eat, in an effort for your body to kind of stabilize again, your blood sugar is going to go way up. Again, depending on what you're eating, but most of the time it's going to go way up. And then if you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, those sugars are going to get burned off very quickly, and your blood sugar comes way back down again. And so if you do that consistently over the course of the day, where you have peaks and valleys in your blood sugar, it inhibits your body's ability to use stored fat as a source of energy. So if you've got that fat around your belly or your, the back of your arms, then it just kind of stays there regardless of whether you're exercising. So it's a real key to exercise and to eat correctly in order to get rid of belly fat. The second one is the sarcopenia, which, if you'll recall, means a loss of muscle tissue as you age. And so the one thing that you can do, that's the very best thing to do, is to start lifting weights if you're not already doing that. And lifting heavy enough with a high enough intensity to create what's called an overload on the muscular system, meaning that you go beyond what you normally do. So just lifting little 5-pound dumbbells, for most of us, that's not going to be enough. You need to lift more than that, more than what, say, a bag of groceries would weigh, or a pet or a child would weigh. So you got to go beyond what you normally are lifting anyway. And then the third one, with the insulin resistance, we know that a regular exercise helps to improve insulin sensitivity, so that when your blood sugar does go up, your pancreas would react in the way that it's supposed to, meaning it secretes the insulin in order to bring your blood sugar back down. And again, with diet and eating a balanced meal, you want to make sure that you're getting plenty of protein and fat in your diet. And some people, some women think that they need to be eating a really, really low-fat diet in order to decrease body fat, but that's not true at all. I'll talk more about that later also. And then the next one is the osteoporosis, or the bone thinning. And again, weight training is one of the very best things that you can do to increase bone density. So walking and running, which are weight-bearing activities, which can help increase density, seem to only affect the femur, the big thigh bone. But with weight training, you can bear weight on your shoulders and the upper part of your back, and so the vertebral column increases in density also. So that's a great part and a great thing with weight training that you can't get with any other activity. The next one are headaches. And research that's been done suggests that regular exercise can help with headaches. So regular exercise not only increases the circulation in the muscles that you're using, but it also increases the circulation within your head, which can help to decrease the severity of a headache or decrease the number of headaches that you've got. And then where diet is related to headaches, you may be eating some foods that trigger a headache, and for people that can be different. It can be certain preservatives, it can be cheeses, other dairy foods, some things that actually trigger a headache. So being able to modify a diet that way and limit those triggering foods. But then the other thing where food is related is that if you're not eating often enough and it's affecting your blood sugar, that can cause you to get a headache. So making sure that you're eating frequently, about every 2 to 3 hours, fueling your body in order to try to avoid getting a headache. The next one then are hot flashes. And hot flashes, again, are very, very common, but they may decrease as a result of doing regular exercise. Now, some women find that when they exercise, the hot flashes might increase. So you, of course, would want to exercise in a really cool, ventilated place, and just be careful of the temperature when you first start to exercise. And then where diet is related to hot flashes, if you're eating a diet that's high in carbohydrates and too many calories are consumed in a day's time, that can increase the rate of hot flashes. So you want to be careful of that, maybe modify your carbs and the total calories that you're consuming. The next one is depression. So the next three are the psychological symptoms associated with menopause. So with depression, a number of studies have been done on aerobic exercise in particular, and looking at the effect of exercise and a decrease in depression or the rates of depression. And we know that in a lot of studies that exercise is really supported as being a way to help, fight off some of those bouts of depression. And then food also plays a major role in depression. So if you're eating a lot of sugary foods, again, that's going to cause your blood sugar to go way up and way down. And anytime that is changing like that, then it can affect your moods also. So you want to try to keep your blood sugar stable in order to keep your moods a little more stable. And then with anxiety, exercise can help to induce a feeling of calmness, so that when you exercise, endorphins are secreted in the brain. Those feel-good hormones that are secreted in your brain. And so if you suffer from anxiety, exercise that might be helpful for you would be things like Tai Chi and yoga and Pilates, where it has more of a calming nature. And then where diet is associated here and has a relationship with anxiety is that there seems to be a correlation between sugar intake and anxiety. So again, monitoring the amount of sugar that you're consuming in order to try to help with the anxiety that you might be feeling. And then finally are memory problems. And so we know that exercise can enhance memory. And there are a lot of studies that have been done recently looking at MRIs of the brain and a part of the brain in the hippocampus that directly associates with what's called the frontal lobe of the brain. And the frontal lobe of the brain is the part of the brain that regulates things that are going on in your body, called the executive functions. And so exercise, particularly aerobic exercise, is what's been studied in most of the research, suggests that regular aerobic exercise can enhance memory. So another great thing to do, or another great reason to exercise on a regular basis. And then finally, again, we're back to the blood sugar again. So having a stable blood sugar can help enhance memory. On the other hand, if you're eating a lot of sugary foods, you're not eating frequently enough, your blood sugar can fluctuate dramatically up and down and up and down. And anytime that happens, it's going to be hard for you to concentrate, and you may have problems with cognition and being able to remember things. All right, some additional information just to tie together some things that I've been talking about so far is that a drop in estrogen that's going to happen as you get closer to menopause is going to affect a number of different systems in the body. One of the other things that can happen is that the neurochemicals in the brain, I've already talked about some of those a little bit, can be affected. So the four that are really important for us as women are serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, and melatonin. And each one of those has a number of different functions in the body. But the ones that directly relate to us in menopause are that serotonin helps to modulate our mood. It helps with sleep and appetite. Norepinephrine influences alertness and sleep. Dopamine influences motivation and the reward center of the brain. And melatonin helps to regulate sleep. And so again, a drop in estrogen can cause a decline in all of these neurochemicals, again, creating a lot of the problems that I talked about previously. And it's important to remember that it's really a threefold or more approach in order to decrease body fat, be able to stay, fully functioning cognitively. So it requires consistency with your diet, consistency with exercise, making sure you're getting enough sleep, and also just keeping some balance in your life. So with your social life, your professional life, your relationship with friends and family, and then carving out time for yourself so that you've got time to exercise and do those things that you need to do. All right, and then a few more things to tie it all together before we move on to some specifics about exercise and diet. One is that hunger can be suppressed with about 1 hour of cardiorespiratory exercise or aerobic exercise, or burning about 500 to 600 calories. So it could be going for a walk, going biking, might be lifting weights, but something that lasts about 1 hour in duration. And you don't have to do the full hour at one time. So if your schedule prevents you from having a solid hour to do that, you can break it up. So you might do 20 minutes 3 times a day, or a half an hour a couple of times a day. And then recognizing that when menopause occurs, and leading up to menopause with lots of estrogen, that our bodies shift to gaining more fat around our bellies, and that fat gain around the belly is not only, aesthetically, maybe not the way you want to look, but it also can be very dangerous. So that fat that accumulates around the belly, there's fat that you can visibly see, like when you look in the mirror, but fat also accumulates around the organs. And so that can be very dangerous to our bodies, and it can increase our risk of developing heart disease and certain types of cancer. And so you really want to be careful about that and not just accept that that's what's going to happen as you get older. And then finally, again, the consistency with exercise and diet and keeping the balance in your life. All right, so when we talk about body fat and body weight, those are two completely different things. So you may have heard talked about in the media and so forth what's called body mass index. And body mass index is not the same thing as percent body fat. So I just wanted to clarify those three terms. So body weight, body mass index, and percent body fat. So your body weight, of course, is what you weigh when you step on a scale. And when you step on that scale, you don't know what that, say, 140 pounds is comprised of. You just know that that's what the weight is, and that's what you weigh today. And then body mass index is a number that you get when you divide your height, or you take your height and weight into account. And so it's a rough equivalent of whether you're considered to be obese. And this is a number that's used a lot in research. And when you hear about different states being obese, or that a particular state in the United States is the fattest state in the Union, those are typically based on what's called body mass index. So again, that's just your height and your weight. And then percent body fat is something that's measured, can be measured a number of different ways. One is with bioelectrical impedance. The gold standard for measuring percent body fat is to do hydrostatic weighing. And when you are getting a body composition measurement, then you truly know how much body fat you have. And that would be the best indicator of your fitness level, and if you're starting to lose, fat around your belly and so forth. So that's a really good measurement. But for some people, it's hard to get that. So if you belong to a health club, they may be able to do bioelectrical impedance. Or if you go to a health fair sometimes, there are different places where you can get your body fat assessed. So if you have an opportunity to have your body mass, or do your body mass index, and there's a number of websites that will tell you how to do this correctly, and you can see it on the slide also. But if you have 18.5 is your body mass index, you would be considered underweight. If it's 18.5 to 24.9, that would be considered normal. 25 to 29.9 would be considered overweight. And then anything 30 or above would be considered obese. Now, if you're having your percent body fat measured, if you have 14 to 20% body fat, that would be typical for somebody that's very physically fit. If your body fat is 21 to 24%, you would be considered fit. 25 to 31% would be considered an acceptable range. And then anything above that would be considered obese. So that would be, if you get to that range of in the upper 20s or approaching 30, that's when you really want to try to do some things to decrease the amount of body fat that you have. And again, when you have your body fat measured, it's going to show you overall body fat. It's not going to necessarily identify that more of your fat is in the belly, but you could, obviously see that if you're looking at yourself in the mirror. So now I'm going to talk specifically about exercise and what to do and the guidelines that you need to follow for exercise. So we'll talk first of all about aerobic exercise or cardiorespiratory exercise. So this is any exercise where you're using the big muscles of your body in a rhythmic, sustained motion. So we're talking about running or walking or biking, cross-country skiing. So the guidelines for this we use are called FIT, F-I-T, and that's an acronym that's pretty easy to remember. So F just means the frequency or how often you should do this. I is referring to the intensity of your workout, and then T means the time or the length of your workout. And then you can put a second T on the end if you want to, so F-I-T-T, and the last T would stand for the type of exercise that you do. So the frequency for aerobic exercise is recommended as being 3 to 5 times a week. Intensity means that you want to train within your target heart rate range, and I'm going to show you a formula later where you can calculate your target heart rate range. And then the length of time should be 20 to 60 minutes. And remember from a previous slide that about an hour of exercise is going to burn about 500 to 600 calories, and that's about what you want to aim for every day. So with the type of aerobic exercise then, again, it can be running or walking or biking or swimming, or you could do what's called high intensity interval training, and that's abbreviated HIIT, H-I-T-T. And there are a number of videotapes, YouTube videos, DVDs and so forth that you can get that will help you learn how to do that high intensity interval training. And later on in this presentation, I'm going to show you a Tabata and how you can do that, which is termed a high intensity interval training. Other types of workouts are CrossFit and Insanity. And the high intensity interval training, the benefit of doing that is that you get your heart rate up very, very high, and then you bring it back down again. And you get it up really high, and you bring it back down again. And the research behind HIIT is that your body will, improvements in your body will be anaerobic as well as aerobic, meaning that your cardiovascular system improves, and that the ability of the oxygen to get to your heart and lungs more quickly also improves. And so there's a lot of benefit associated with HIIT, H-I-T-T, and it's also a really good fat burning workout. And then the Tabata that I'm going to show you in a minute not only is a HIIT workout, or H-I-T-T, high intensity interval training, but it's a really short workout too. And so it's something that lasts 4 minutes, and everybody can get at least 4 minutes of exercise a day. So there's never any excuse not to do anything. So a little bit more information about a Tabata, and then there's a video that you can watch and do the Tabata with the video. So the Tabata, again, is a 4-minute workout. So you are doing something that's high intensity for 20 seconds, and then you rest completely for 10 seconds. So the slide that's accompanying this, or that you'll see next, shows different exercises that you can do. It just lists them on a chart. And then there's a video accompanying that shows you the actual exercises. So you can do this on your own. It takes very little space, and again, it's only for 4 minutes. And I've given you several different exercises that you can pair together so that you have a variety of things you can do in a Tabata. Okay, this is the list of exercise for the Tabata. So I'm going to go through the 2 that you can pair together and then demonstrate those. And I'll go through each one of them. There's 7 pairs, so I'll go through those. So the first exercise is punches to work your upper body. So you just want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart and your knees slightly bent, and then put as much effort into this as you can. So you're just punching and your fist rotates so it's the back of your hand comes up, and then intensity increases. So you want to punch and use your abs so that you're stabilizing your upper body rather than twisting, 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 twisting. Okay, and then for lower body, just to run in place. So it can be, depending on your level of fitness, just an easy jog. Or as you progress in your fitness, you can pick it up. Really pump your arms and increase the intensity. Okay, the second two exercises for Tabatas are uppercuts for your upper body and then jumping jacks. So an uppercut, again, bend your knees, stabilize your hips, and you're just going to take your hands, start with your fists in front of you, and uppercut like you're hitting somebody under their jaw. And again, you want to stabilize from your abdominals and your hips, so you're not just, moving and swaying all over the place. So faster, it looks like this. And keep your arms tense so you feel the intensity of that. And then a jumping jack, to avoid lower back problems, we're going to do a jack with your arms over your head, or else just shoulder high. So shoulder high, it looks like this. Remember to press your heels to the floor as you come down, or you can take your arms over your head with a punch overhead. And again, as fast as you can go as your fitness level increases. All right, the third set of exercises for Tabatas are wall push-ups and mountain climbers. So the wall push-ups are for your pectorals. So stand away from the wall with your feet at an angle, and you're going to just push in and push out so that you're just moving your elbows in order to work your pectoral muscles. You can also put your hands farther apart and go this way and hit that muscle at a little bit different angle. Remember to keep your belly pulled in again so that your back doesn't sag. And if you are lacking upper body strength, stand a little closer so that you're not pushing quite so far until you build up some strength. And then for the lower body, you've got mountain climbers. So if the mountain climber is going to be down on the floor, on all fours, and again, keep your belly pulled in to support your lower back. And you're just going to pull one foot in, switch, switch, and switch. And again, as your level of fitness increases, increase the number of repetitions that you're doing. You want to go as fast as you can. Again, pulling from your abs, pull your feet in, and to work your thighs. Okay, the next group, or the next pair of exercises for Tabatas are floor dips, which focus on your triceps, and then a shuttle run, which works your lower body. So for the floor dips, you're going to be down on the floor, turn your fingertips toward your body, and then lift your bottom up so that your back is parallel to the floor as you can get it. And the only thing that's going to move here are your elbows. So you're going to bend at the elbow and push back up. Bend at the elbow, push back up. Try not to let your bottom drop all the way to the floor, but the stronger you are, the closer you can get to the floor, and then up to full extension. And again, go do as many as you can, increasing your repetitions each time you do this as your fitness and strength increases. And then for your lower body, we'll do a shuttle run where you're going to move from side to side, so you need a little bit more space here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap. And you can use your other arm, your other hand, to support yourself when you go down. And when you come down, you're bending both knees rather than just leaning over, which can cause you to have back pain. So again, side to side, bend knees, tap, side to side, bend knees, tap. All right, this upper body exercise incorporates upper body and abs a little bit. And then for the lower body, it's a squat hop, which works all the big muscles of the lower body. So the upper one is you're taking one knee up, and as that knee comes up, you're going to curl and bring it up, and you're using your abs to help pull your knee up. So you can do as many as you can, curling here, and then switch and go the other way, so you're building the other knee up. And again, as you improve, you can increase the intensity and the repetitions by tensing your biceps, pulling with your abs. And then for the lower body, the squat hop, you're going to be down in a squat position. So this one, you want to be sure that your weight is back on your heels a little bit, not leaning forward like that here when you come down. So the squat hop is just you're going to hop up and squat, hop back and squat, hop up and squat, hop back and squat. That one's a little more strenuous for your knees. So if you can't squat all the way down, you can do a little or shorter squat. So hop, squat, again keeping your hips and your buttocks back, not leaning forward, and then hop, squat. All right, this is number 6 of the pairs of exercises for the Tabata. So you're doing a rope climb for your upper body and then a frog hop for your lower body. So the rope climb, if you are wanting to just move your upper body, you can just do a simulated rope climb. So you're pulling up and up and up and up, but you're coming down. As you come down, then you're using some intensity and some force as you're pulling down. So again, as you increase your reps, the amount of force that you're using, it's going to increase the intensity of the workout. And then for the frog hops, similar to what you just did with the squats, but you're going to do it with a little run in between. So I'm going to run, hop, run, hop back, run, hop, run, and hop back. Okay, the last set of pairs of exercises for Tabatas is a speed bag and then a balance on one leg with a high kick. So the speed bag, again, down in a squat position, and then you're going to make sure your weight's back on your heels a little bit, not rocked forward. Your arms are going to be up so that your hands are parallel to your shoulders as if you are punching a speed bag. So you're going to go as fast as you can, keeping your abs tucked in as you do that speed bag. And the faster you go, of course, then the intensity increases. Okay, and then for the balance and the one leg lift, up against a wall, this is the easiest thing to do. So if you stand about 2 feet away from the wall, balance on one foot, and then you're going to take the other foot up and just tap on the wall and bring it down. And tap and down, and tap and down. So pulling your abs in to help support your lower back, using the balance of your left leg. Tap and down, tap and down, tap and down. And again, you can go faster the more fit you become. Then, of course, switch and do the other leg. So that's it with the pairs of exercises for the Tabatas. So what I'm going to show you now is the 4-minute Tabata, so you can see how the whole Tabata would look like for the entire 4 minutes. All right, now I'm ready to show you a full Tabata, which is 4 minutes. I'm going to pair the first exercises on the list on the PowerPoint slide. So I'm going to do the punches and run in place. So the app that I've downloaded is called Tabata Timer. So it looks like this, and it will notify you when it's time to start the 20 seconds of exercise, when to stop the 20 seconds. You get 10 seconds of rest, and then you start again. And you keep repeating that, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. And another handy app to use is Interval Timer. If you get tired of the actual Tabata, which is the 20 on, 10 off, you can set up your own intervals if you prefer to do that. So that's a great app to have also, an interval timer is what that's called. Okay, so I'm going to start this and punch for 20 seconds. for 10 seconds. So when you're resting, you don't want to sit down, but you can keep moving around a little bit. And I rest again, and then I repeat both of those for 3 more times. So again, as you become more fit, you can increase your repetitions intensity.
Take a break. Swing, baby, yeah. Y'all ready for this?
And again, the point of doing high intensity interval training is so that your metabolism stays elevated longer post-workout. Your metabolism stays elevated longer post-workout, and you become a better fat burner. Plus, it's easy to stay motivated for about 4 minutes. And you should be breathing heavily after having done this. It's obviously a great thing to work out with a partner for motivation, but you should not be able to carry on a conversation with your partner during the 20-second exercise part of this. And the very last thing, and you want to go all out, so a jog in place for the last 20 seconds. Okay, so that was 4 minutes. So anybody can fit 4 minutes into their day. If you did it a couple times a day, 5 times a week as it's recommended, that's a really good workout plan for the week. And you can pair any of the 2 exercises that I've done together, or you can do 8 different ones through the whole cycle. So it can be as flexible as you want it to be. And of course you can add your own exercises or motions too. Some that I've not mentioned in the video. Alright, so now that you've got some aerobic exercise information and some ideas to do for your aerobic exercise other than just a walk or a run, some things to break that up and give you some different alternatives, I want to talk about weight training or strength training. So remember that the benefits of weight training specifically that are different from aerobic exercise is that it can increase your lean tissue, help to offset sarcopenia, which is the loss of lean tissue as you age, and it can also help to increase bone density. The more lean tissue you have, also the higher your metabolism is, and so that helps you become also a better fat burner. So with weight training, some guidelines that we want to follow with weight training or strength training is you want to work each major muscle 1 to 3 times a week. And the video that accompanies this can show you each of those muscles that you need to be working. You want to be sure that you're working opposing muscles equally. So for every action that occurs in your body, like when I flex my arms, there's an opposite action, meaning that I'm going to extend my arms. So that means that if I work my biceps, I should also work my triceps. And if you don't do that, then you run the risk of developing joint problems or posture problems. So it's really important that if you're following the workout that I show you here, that you do it just like it is on the video. And then next, you want to train with intensity. So it's important that you're actually stressing the bones, that you're adding stress to the bones of the body in order to increase the density and also to increase your lean tissue. And you want to be sure that when you're lifting, each time you lift weights, that you're lifting with intensity. And your energy expenditure when you're lifting is going to be high. But a nice thing about weight training is that when you finish lifting, your metabolism is going to stay elevated even after you've finished working out. So that's one of the great things about weight training. You can also get that from high intensity interval training too, which I forgot to mention before. So with the weight training, at least initially, it's probably going to take you about an hour to go through the workout that I've shown you here. And you want to do that 3 times a week, every other day. You're going to be doing about 4 to 8 sets per muscle, and I'll talk more about this in the video, and then about 15 repetitions per set. And once you've gotten to the point where you can do 15 repetitions, then you want to increase the amount of weight that you're using so that it becomes hard for you again. And give yourself about 1 minute of rest in between your sets. All right, the next thing we've got to show you are the lifts for weightlifting and building strength. So remember from the PowerPoint slide that for females, for us in the menopause stage of life, want to exercise in order to create muscle hypertrophy. And we don't do that the same way that men do. We don't build muscle with testosterone. So the way that we build muscle is with human growth hormone. So in order to boost our human growth hormone, we have to lift with enough intensity in order to make that happen. So you're going to lift as heavy as you can, 15 repetitions. So if you don't have any weights at home, you can make your own weights. So what I did was I just emptied these milk cartons, and I've got them half full of water. This is about 4 pounds each, so you can use these as your dumbbells if you don't have any. So with a milk carton, you could go up to about an 8-pound weight, which is probably a good place to start for many of you, particularly with your upper body. And then as soon as you can do 15 repetitions easily, you want to be sure that you've got heavier weights, because weightlifting is a progressive resistance exercise. And as long as you are lifting and doing only about 15 repetitions with the weight, then you're fine. But once you are able to do 15 reps, increase your weight so that you continually stress the muscular system and get that boost of human growth hormone. So I'm going to go through these in order that they're listed on the PowerPoint slide. And these are going upper body first and then lower body. And this would be the order that you could do them. Advised to do this workout 3 times a week. So it could be done any place in your home. If you want a mat, of course, that might be helpful. If you have a bench at home, a weightlifting bench, that's good. But I'm just going to do these on the floor. So I'm going to take my dumbbells here beside me. I'm going to hold them as if I've got a bar in my hands, and then I'm going to press up until they come together end to end. I'm going to take them back down until my elbows touch the floor, and then I'm going to press them up again end to end. So if these were heavier weights, when I get to 15 repetitions, that should be hard for me to do. So let's pretend that this is now my 13th repetition, and this is my 14th repetition. And now I've got 15 that I just barely can squeak out. So that would be heavy enough for me to use there. All right, then the second exercise I'm going to do for my pectoral muscles is called the fly. So I'm going to hold my dumbbells with my palms together. I'm still lying flat on my back. I'm going to open my arms out wide until my hands are almost touching the floor. Elbows are touching the floor. And then I'm going to keep my arms in that arched position and bring these dumbbells back up until they meet end to end with meet with my palms facing each other. So the motion is that I'm out wide. I'm going to squeeze with my pectoral or my chest muscles and bring those back together. So those are the two exercises for your chest or your pectorals. And one of the training guidelines states that you want to be sure that you're working opposing muscles or antagonist muscles equally. So the opposing muscle of the pectorals is a big muscle of your back. So the first exercise for your back is called a one-arm row. Some people call this a lawnmower pull, and if that helps you remember it, that's an easy way to do that. So now I'm going to get a bench. I'm going to put my hand and knee on the bench. I'm going to flatten my back. I don't want to be rounded like this. So I'm going to take the dumbbell here now, down to my side, and I'm going to pull my elbow back towards my hip in a rowing motion. Keeping my back flat, pull it up, and then back down again, pull it up, and back down. If you don't have a bench to use, it's fine to do it from a standing position and just support your hand on one elbow and do the rowing motion. But again, you're keeping your back flat and parallel to the floor. Keep your belly pulled up just to help support your lower back. And then the second exercise for your back is called reverse fly. So this one, you'd want to be on a bench or the end of a chair or even on a step would work fine. So I'm going to flatten my back until my chest is on top of my thighs. I'm going to keep my arms in that arched position like they were for flies. And now I'm going to lift up and back down. I'm going to lift and squeeze my shoulder blades, back down. Lift and squeeze, and back down. And then the next lift is for your shoulders, so for your deltoids and your trapezius muscle. This is often a very weak muscle for us women, so the weight that you use might be different from what you use for your chest and your back. So for my dumbbells, I'm going to start with them at my shoulders, and they're going to, as if I'm holding a bar, and then I press them up over my head till they meet end to end, and then back down, press them up till they meet end to end, and back down. And then the second one for my shoulders is called a lateral raise. And for the lateral raise, I'm going to have my hands in that same arched position as they were for the reverse flies. So that when I lift up, I'm going to rotate my forearms as if I'm pouring from pitchers. And then they come back down again. I'm going to lift and rotate, and then they come back down again. So with my dumbbells, again, this is a pretty weak muscle. You can hold your pitchers just like you have them. So I'm going to come up, and I rotate and pour, and then come back down again. This works good with the milk jug, so you can really simulate your pouring, and then come back down again. I'm going to lift, and then back down. Keeping your head straight, your body straight, not letting the weights pull you over. And then for my biceps and triceps, I'm going to take my dumbbells, and I can do one arm separately, or I can do them both at the same time. So the body position is I'm going to tuck my elbows into the side of my body. I'm going to curl up, so the only thing that's moving are my forearms. So I'm curling up, and then back down again. So from the side, the elbows are tucked, and they stay in that tucked position. Or I can do one arm alone, or again, I can do them together. And then for my triceps, I'm going to do what's called a kickback. And the form, or the starting position for the kickback is the same as it was for a one-arm row. So I'm going to have a hand and knee on the bench. I'm going to start with my arm so that it's parallel to the floor. And the only thing that's going to move here is my forearm. So I'm going to kick it back and bring it in, kick it back and bring it in. If you let your elbow dip down, then you lose the focus of using your triceps. So keep your elbow up. If you've got a mirror to look in when you're doing that, this is when you're doing this exercise, it's really helpful. So again, kicking back and bring it in. And then when you switch legs, I'm going to do my left arm. My left foot's going to be on the floor, and my right knee on the bench. And bring it in. And kick it back and bring it in. So that completes the pectorals, the back, the shoulders, the biceps, and the triceps. Now for your abdominal muscles, instead of just doing a crunch all the time, I'm going to do a sit-up with a weight. So you can take your weight and hold it over your chest so that you're coming all the way down, and then you're going to come all the way back up again. You want to curl your body, so as you come down, pull in from your belly, so that the first thing that touches the floor is your lower spine, down to the upper part of your spine. And then as you come up, your upper spine leaves the floor first, and your lower spine follows. Or if you want to increase this a little bit, you can hold the weight farther away from your body. You're still doing the same motion. You're going to uncurl as you're coming down. And then as you come back up, that weight is out in front of you a little bit. So focus on your abdominal muscles and controlling those as you're going up and down. And then for the lower body, I'm going to do 2 exercises for the 3 big muscles of your lower body. So that's your gluteals, your quadriceps, and hamstrings. So you're going to do squats first and then lunges. So with squats, you're going to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. You can hold the weight, you can balance it on your shoulders if you want to. You can just hold it to the side of your body. You can put it in front of you. It doesn't make any difference where you are. But you want to squat and be able to hold this squat here. So if you can't do that with your feet flat, you need to work on the form first of all. So my feet are flat, and I'm going to come back up again. I'm going to squat till my knees, thighs get about shoulder or parallel to the ground, and then come back up again. And so from the side, I'll put the weights on my shoulders here so you can see a little bit better. So I'm pulling in my belly. I'm going to sit back a little bit so my bottom sticks out, squat, and come back up again. Down to a squat, and back up again. And then the second one for those 3 big muscles is called a lunge. And with a lunge, you're going to take a big enough step forward so that you have about a 90-degree angle at your knee. So I'm going to hold my weights here again. I'm going to step out, so I got about a 90-degree angle, and then step back together again. I'm going to step out and back together again. If I wanted to do a backward lunge, I could do the same thing. You can switch these around. So I'm starting here. I'm going to take a step back. So I got about a 90-degree angle at both knees. Come back together, step back, and then back together. And then for the muscles in your leg, your calf and the front of your leg, those 2 muscles are opposing muscles. So for my calf, I'm going to be on a step. And if I'm working my left foot first, I'm going to put the weights in my left hand. I can cross my other leg behind. I want to be able to drop my heel below my toe, raise up on your tiptoe, drop my heel below my toe, raise up on my tiptoe. So just on the flat floor, it would look like this. I'm just not able to drop my heel below my toe. So it's ideal if you're on a step to do that. So up on your tiptoe, hold, and then back down again. And then for the muscle on the front of my leg, the tibialis anterior, I'm going to put a weight across, a weight between my toes to do this one. I'm going to sit on my bench. I'm going to squeeze the weight in between my feet, and I put my heels on the end of the step, and then I'm going to lift up and hold and back down. I'm going to lift up and hold and back down. So that completes an exercise for each of those major muscles of the body. So as a beginner, if you've never done any lifting at all, you can go through each of those lifts once or twice, do that for a couple weeks, and then add another set for each lift. And then as you progress in your lifting, on the chart I've got up to 4 sets for each lift. So you want to get to the point where you're doing 4 to 8 sets for each of the muscles, 3 times a week. Your initial workouts are going to last longer just because you don't know the lifts, but as you get used to this, you should be able to finish with the workout in about 45 minutes or so and get finished with your strength training. And that's recommended that you do that 3 times a week. All right, so you've gotten the aerobic exercise now and you've gotten the weight training. So that takes care of all the exercise that you want to be doing during the week. And then the second thing I want to talk about is diet. And with diet, I don't mean going on a diet to restrict your calories. And I don't mean doing something that is not consistent with a healthy food plan or a balanced food plan. So I'm going to talk about 3 different food plans that I think are particularly helpful for us women that are perimenopause, just in menopause, or postmenopause. And these 3 different types of food plans can help to stabilize your blood sugar, which remember is one of the really important factors in being able to help stabilize your moods, and also to use stored fat as a source of energy. So that means being able to get rid of the belly fat better than maybe what you've been doing. So the first one is the paleo diet. I'm going to talk about this in detail in a second. And then the 40-30-30 plan, which is also called the zone. And then the last one is the food plan that is set out in the book Menopause Reset that I mentioned earlier by Dr. Mickey Harpaz. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the paleo diet. And this is a diet that's gained kind of notoriety in the last few years. And there are different foods that are allowed and some that are not allowed on the paleo diet. So if you have a difficult time restricting yourself to just certain foods, this might not be the best plan for you. But if you have had some success in the past with doing that, you might like the paleo diet. So the foods that are allowed are fruits and vegetables, seafood, lean meats, nuts and seeds, and healthy fats. Some foods that are not allowed are dairy, grains, processed flour and sugar, legumes, and alcohol. So it is fairly restrictive, but if you find that that's a food regimen that you like, it may be that you get a lot of success with this. It doesn't require any calorie counting. The diet just suggests that you would not eat or overeat any of the foods that you're allowed. So some positive things about this is that you probably can lose weight, probably help you to increase the amount of fruits and vegetables that you're consuming. And there's a feeling of satiety that is due to an increase in more protein and fat in your diet. And then some things that might not be so positive about this diet is that it may be difficult to cut out the grains, also the sugar, and then again, there's a lot of foods that are restricted in the paleo diet. Then the next food plan is called the 40-30-30 plan, or the zone. And so what this recommends is that you consume about 40% of your total calories from carbs, 30% from fat, and 30% from protein. So it's a really balanced food plan, but it does take some some knowledge about different macronutrient ratios and what you're consuming. So a little bit of knowledge there is helpful. There are a number of websites that can help you determine exactly how many calories you need to get from a certain food, or the amount of food that you need to eat in order to get the correct ratio of 40-30-30. And the premise of this is that if you're eating 40-30-30, that you can feel satisfied for up to 4 hours at a time and not feel hungry. You know, one of the things that makes you feel hungry can be that if you eat a diet that's high in sugary foods, again, your blood sugar fluctuating a lot can make you feel hungry very quickly after you've eaten. So some positive things about the 40-30-30 plan is that there's a balance of nutrients. Generally, you're going to eat more fruits and vegetables on this plan. You feel more satisfied because of a higher intake of protein and fat, and your blood sugar stays stable, so you become a better fat burner. Things that might not be so positive about the 40-30-30 plan is that it might be difficult to achieve that combination of macronutrients on a regular basis. But again, there's a lot of websites that can help you with that. And it generally recommends a lower number of calories. So it may be that you feel, even though you're eating this way and you should stay satisfied for a longer period of time, you might still feel hungry from time to time. Then the last food plan that I want to talk about is the one that I really like and that seems to be working really well for me today. And that's the one that is recommended in the Menopause Reset. So I want to just briefly talk about the points that Dr. Harpaz recommends in his book. And so one is that you eat every 2 hours. You don't have to count calories, but it's assumed that you're eating, an adequate number of calories to stay satisfied during the day. So for most people, that's eating about 6 to 7 times a day, depending on how many hours you're awake. And you're to avoid overeating, which means no second helpings. And then to have no more than 10 grams of sugar per meal. So you have to become maybe a better label reader, making sure that you're not getting any more sugar than that per meal. Avoid consuming 2 starchy foods at any one meal. So if you're going out to an Italian restaurant and you're having pasta and bread, that would be a no-no. So no more than 1 carb per meal. And anytime you feel hungry, you can have fruits and vegetables. And so there's, kind of an out for you if you feel like you're getting really hungry during the day. So some really positive things about this is that it keeps your blood sugar really stable. Again, it makes you a good fat burner. The food guidelines are easy to follow, so it doesn't restrict any particular food. and you can feel satisfied again because you're eating every 2 hours. So if you eat at 10 o'clock and you say, "Ooh, gosh, I'd really like to have a second helping," you know that in 2 hours from now you can eat again. And that's kind of psychologically a good thing to maybe kind of help you keep going and to stick with this particular food plan. Things that you might not like so well with this, it may be that you have to plan ahead a little bit more to make sure you've got food accessible every 2 hours. And it may require you to make a change in your normal food combinations. So if you're used to eating a potato and bread or rice and bread or something like that at the same meal, just becoming more familiar with the guidelines of this and again, planning ahead and making those changes. So I've presented quite a bit of information here, but the nice thing about this is that you can always go back and review this and stop it and start it at certain locations if you didn't get the information that you needed the first time through. And so now being able to stay motivated and actually do this plan, the exercise and the diet and so forth, and keep that balance in your life so that you can make some positive changes and offset those symptoms associated with menopause. So it's easy for anybody to start a new exercise program. So being able to sustain it over time is something that becomes more difficult. So in order to stay motivated, some suggestions that you may have heard before or tried before, but might be worth giving it a shot again. One is to get a friend or a family member involved with you, so you've got some support there. Setting 1 or 2 goals for yourself that are very specific. So a SMART goal, as it says in the slide, means that your goal is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and has a time attached to it. And there are a number of different websites that can give you more information about how to set a SMART goal. And then planning ahead, making sure that you've got your exercise gear with you if you need it, that you've got food in your purse or in the car so that you can eat every 2 hours if that's the food plan that you're following. Being flexible with what you're doing. So if it's a rainy day and you intended to go for a walk, have a backup plan so that you've got something else to do. And then rewarding yourself every day so that you've got some, once you've got some success, you've rewarded yourself. And then keeping track of your success. So you can do that with pictures, you can keep a journal, you can use kind of a sticker chart. And also social networking is a really great way to stay motivated. So you can get your friends involved with you personally, or just keep that involvement with them on a social network. Then I just want to say a couple of things about women and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Since I am an ADHD coach, I come in contact a lot of times with women in their late 30s, early 40s, who are starting to recognize that they're getting some of these symptoms associated with menopause. And we know that when there are hormonal changes that occur in the body, this transition time, that can affect ADHD and can exacerbate all of the symptoms of ADHD. And so for women in this age group that have attention deficit disorder, it can become really important for them to exercise on a regular basis, to eat on a regular basis, and again have that balance in their diet. So there are about 4.5 to 5.5 million women that have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So that's a big number in the population. So a number of women that are affected with that, and in turn, as they're getting to that transition stage in their life with menopause, those symptoms can be exacerbated, as I said before. So being able to keep your blood sugar regulated in order to stabilize your mood, be able to think better, have better memory and cognitive ability, and then also the exercise, which helps to increase the neurotransmitters in the brain, which can help with all of those things that are associated, problems that are associated with attention deficit disorder. Additionally, medication and ADHD coaching might be part of a treatment plan that would help benefit people that have, or women that have attention deficit disorder. All right, so to summarize everything then, it's important that you make a commitment to yourself to have a healthier lifestyle through exercise and diet and so forth. And then planning ahead in order to make all these things happen. It's easy to look at a video like this, write a couple things down, get with a friend, But if you don't plan ahead and really make it happen, it can be just this, just a video that you watched one day or a plan that you wrote down on a piece of paper. Make sure that you do the exercise, the weight training and aerobic exercise, and that you're eating in order to keep your blood sugar stable. And then finally, rewarding your success so that you can get the very most benefit from this.